I get a lot of questions from people about how do I do this? How do I get my beliefs that I don't like? How do I get them out of the way? And how do I create the ones I do like? I just had an email on Mental Muscle that said, okay, great, get it all. How do you do it? It's just like going to Carnegie Hall. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. That's the answer. I hate that it's that boring, but that's the answer. It's spiritual practice. We don't just, after 50, 60 years of living in this world, we don't just wake up and suddenly, oh, it's that. I'm just going to change everything, unless we do, which would be pretty fabulous. But most of us take one step at a time in spiritual practice. So our theme for the year, in case you forget it, is I live my truth. I live my truth. And you know, when I picked that, it really was a call to action for myself. I find me to be someone who really does live his truth, and I really do. I get tripped up occasionally, but as soon as I do, I get up and I start over again, and I get back on point. But I live my truth. But when I picked that for the year, it really was a call to action to literally stop tripping. Somebody raised. No, stop tripping over myself and literally get on track where I live my truth all the time. How many of you would like that? Where you just live your truth at all times. You know who you are at all times. Something comes up, God handles it. Instead of being that religion that says, God will handle it. I'm just going to keep falling down, but God will pick me up. No, God will not pick you up. Get up. That's how it works, because God needs to get up. Because sometimes God can fall down, if that's who I am. So I live my truth means that I've decided to live my truth regardless, no matter what. So then the themes have gone by, and this month's theme is decide what matters. When you attach that to I live my truth, decide what matters, it means you have to decide what matters truthfully. You have to really decide what matters and decide what doesn't matter. So this has been a very interesting month for me to really decide what matters. And it's so funny. I've had this conversation with people, and after I finish my diatribe on deciding what matters, I usually get this: so are you quitting being a minister? I'm like, oh my God, how did you take that from that? Are you telling me something? I should just pack it up? No, but I get what people are saying, because you think that in order to really decide what matters and live your truth, you might have to change everything. You might have to change it all out, and you might. So the title of my talk today is Sacred Demolition. Sacred Demolition. You all ready for that? A little bit of sacred demolition. And it's funny, I asked Karen Frost when I gave her the title, I said, do you think you know what this is about? And she said yes, and she told me what she thought it was about, and she was half right. So, sacred demolition. So I get up every morning now for the last few months. I've been on this detox cleanse where I have no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol, no flour, no red meat, no food, basically. It's been really an amazing, I'm just about at the end of my 21 days, and everybody's saying to me, like, I bet you cannot wait to eat. And I'm like, actually, no. I actually feel so good. I feel so clean. I feel so refreshed that no, I'm not going back to eating all those things that I was eating. I'm going to pretty much stay on this and add a little alcohol. But little red wine. It's the red wine at night when Kevin's having a glass, and I'm like, I'll have some tea. So sacred demolition. So I'm on my walk in the mornings, and my neighborhood in Studio City, it's like turning into Bel Air. The homes that are being put up are just spectacular. Two houses across the street from me both went for over $3 million, which is great for me. And they're beautiful houses. So when I walk in the morning, I get to see all of these houses in various states of construction. So the other day I got up and I walked down my street, and I looked over and I saw my friend Nora's house, who is now in, she moved to assisted living. But her house was kind of, they've taken everything out of it. And I was just like, wow, there's a home, there's a house that housed a life, There was a life in there, many lives, her children. So much happened in that house. And I was all nostalgic about that. And I'm walking through the neighborhood, and my walk is over. It's about an hour later, and I show up at my house, and my neighbors are out on the street, and I'm like, hey, how you guys doing? They said, isn't that amazing how fast Nora's house came down? I was like, what? I just walked by it. And I walk over, and I'm like, it's down. The bulldozer came in, and it was down. In an hour of my walk, that house was down. And I was like, oh my God, how quickly these things happen. It was just down. And then they took the way to clear it away. Now it's just a lot. And I was like, oh my, what if we could be that efficient in our minds? What if we could literally demolish what we need to demolish that quickly? Go out for a brisk walk and come back a new man. That pretty much happens every day for me. Whatever I take on my walk, I usually leave out there. Whenever I come back so fresh. I've seen all the trees. And today on my walk, literally 4 hummingbirds followed me. I was like, I know I'm sweet, but at first I thought, are these like demon hummingbirds? And any minute, choo, choo, because I know how those beaks go up inside those. I'm like, oh, I'm not a tree. So these hummingbirds are like flying by me, and they're beautiful blues and greens and all. It was really, and then they flew away. But that's what happens when I'm on these walks. I get in touch with oneness. I really get it. I really feel it. So, sacred demolition. So, when you are going to build, how are you going to build a solid consciousness of mind? Well, the same way they're going to build something where Nora's house was torn down. So I want to take the steps of construction of a house, because as you know, I'm very good at those things. I'm going to take the steps of construction and use it as an answer to all of your questions on how am I supposed to get rid of these beliefs and build up new ones. Okay, would that sound good? Okay, wish me luck. So, the first thing is sacred demolition. Demolish it. Are you willing to go in and demolish what doesn't work? Are you willing to own up to the thoughts in your mind that no longer serve you? That's where we are in mental muscle right now. And people are coming up with all these beliefs they didn't know they still had. Being awake. Willing to be awake enough to actually know what your mind still has going on. Even if you're as evolved as me. That was a joke. Even if you're as evolved as you think you are, there's more stuff in there. You are an infinite plethora of beliefs in there. You've had 20, 30, 42 years to figure this out. She's not even paying attention. She doesn't need my talk. She hasn't built up any of your daughter, not you. Right, so, yes, you're taking notes, I know. I used to think when people were doing that, they were texting. I'm like, I got to get going. They're not paying attention. They're taking, thank you. So, are you willing to literally go in and demolish these things that don't work anymore? Someone wrote this morning, I'm scared of money. Oh, knock that house down. Knock that belief down, right? I'm scared of money. How many people here are scared of money? Okay, good. Really? Okay, so knock that down. I could say house. I could say another word. Knock that out. Knock it off. As my dad used to say, knock it off. Knock it off. Knock the house down. Knock the belief down. Be willing to take it to its basic mess. And that's what happens. When you get started with this work, you are a mess. As that lot was when I went to look at Nora's house. It was a mess. There was curtains and all this just junk that used to be something. And you know what? Your core beliefs that you no longer serve you, they used to be something. They were serving you somehow. You thought they were, and they were protecting you from something. I'm afraid of money is protecting you from something. Get in there. What is it protecting you from? Knock it down. Demolish it. So that's number one. Demolition. You have to literally demolish. And I'm skipping the find a plot, because you already have a mind, and the architect, because you are the architect. So I'm skipping the earlier parts. I'm going right from the demolition. You are the perfect plot. You are the perfect place to build the most amazing mind. Right where you are. You can build a 4, 5, 10, 20, $100 million mind. And that is limited in scope. A zillion, quadrillion mind. That's what you have. That's what I have. That's what we have the ability to do. So first, demolish the old one. Get rid of what doesn't work. And if you have to walk around in a sea of uncertainty, your uncertainty is your friend. Because I'd rather be uncertain than certain that I'm afraid of money. Wouldn't you? So be uncertain. Demolish it. Take it down. The next thing you have to do is you have to break ground. You literally have to break ground. You know what that means? When you're breaking ground, you have to get rid of all the junk. You have to get rid of all the rocks. You have to get rid of anything that's going to stand in the way from putting down a solid foundation. So that means literally getting rid of it all. If you've broken it all down, broken it all down, and there it is laying in front of you, I'm afraid of money, I don't believe in love anymore, I'm too old, my body is deteriorating, not if you detox, right? All of these things. All of these beliefs you may have. My mind is going because I'm a certain age, no one's going to want me. Whatever those things are, the world's too technical now, I'll never be able to keep up. How many of you have that? Oh my God, I'm never going to keep up with all these electronics. Yes, you can. Wow, good for you at your age. Okay, for owning up to that. That's good. One step at a time, Lee. So, whatever it is, get it out of the way, because you don't want it in your foundation, do you? Do you want that in the foundation of your house? When I bought my house, we had to pull up the foundation a little bit to look at something, and we found asbestos. We didn't know what it was. I was like, what's this stuff? Kevin's like, get away! So we had to bring those, and I'm like, I'd have no idea what that means, asbestos. That's the stuff my mother and father had in their living room with the bubble ceiling. So I was like, how bad can it be for you? How well do you breathe, James? Question taken, I got it. Okay, so we had to bring in those guys with the spaceship outfits. I'm standing outside, and they're like walking in these outfits attached to them. I'm like, oh my God, how bad was this for us? So they got rid of all the asbestos. So that's what you're doing in your mind, getting rid of those beliefs that no longer serve you, so that you can set down a very strong foundation. And do you know what the foundation is for you in your mind? Your already established premises. How many people do not know what that is? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Then you all do, some people. Okay, an already established premise is what you live your life by. I'm afraid of money is an already established premise, to be honest with you. They're core beliefs that you want. How would you like to live your life? Money works for me, and I always have it. Would that work for you? That's an already established premise. Mine is my finances are secure no matter what. I don't care what it looks like. I know my finances are secure, and if something comes up and clogs that for a moment, it's cleared. Because I get it. My finances are secure. That's my already established premise. I know my life is unfolding perfectly no matter what. So as I sit there in where Othello is, crying because Johanna's talking about the 2 years that her son pulled out, and I'm crying, I'm also knowing in the depths of my being that my life is unfolding perfectly, and so is Will's, and so is Nora's, so it will unfold perfectly for everyone involved. That's my already established premise. That's the foundation. So you need to ask yourself, what already established premise, what premise do you live your life by? Most people live their life by, I'll wait and see. Whatever shows up, I'll see what I think about it. That's not a premise to live by. You should know before you get out of bed in the morning that your day is going to be perfect. And then make it that, because no matter what shows up, my day is perfect. Those are already established premises. You build your mind on that foundation, now you're ready to form it out. Now you build the form. I went by a house the other day. No, actually, it was a few weeks ago. And the framing was so interesting. I couldn't tell if it was going to be modern, colonial. I live in the most eclectic neighborhood. 2 houses just went up. Both of them are way over $3 million. Right next to each other. One is this modern, amazing-looking house that I would love to live in. And the other looked like it was Leave It to Beaver's house. I mean, it was like this Connecticut house that was just gorgeous. Side by side. I was like, how amazing is that? And Kevin and I have exactly opposite tastes. He wants the beaver house. I want, the house that Frank Lloyd Wright built. I want this modern house that had this Cubix Rube floating on the top of it. It was phenomenal. I just loved it. We'll buy them both. Thank you, Brad, because my finances are secure. And we'll build a little tunnel between the two. I don't mind visiting Connecticut. I don't want to live there. So now you've built the frame, right? You've built the frame to your house. That means you get to decide how your life is going to look. Frame it out. The frame of your house is money, finances, health, creativity, passion, career. There's all the rooms of your house. We call it the table with the legs, but it's the rooms of your house. I've got the prosperity room, I've got the great relationships room, I've got the amazing health room, and I've got the creative expression room. There are my rooms. I've built them. They're just amazing. And I don't allow for any other rooms. I'm the architect. I'm in charge. When one of my builders comes in and starts building a room that doesn't look like what I want to live in, I'm like, no, take it down, build it the way I specified. But most of us don't do that. Most of us just say, it's a nice room. I could live here. That's fine. And besides, can I really afford another room? I'll just have to take what I'm getting. Those are already established premises too. I will take what the world gives me and make the best out of it. Ugh, it doesn't even feel good as I say it, does it? And if any of you are living by that, I do not mean to insult you. I just mean to change your mind about it so that you can really get on top of knowing you're building your mind. So that's the framing. The next thing is the electronics, putting in the electricity, putting in the plumbing, putting in the air system, the HVAC. So for me, what that meant to me was the specificities of it all. Who do I want to love? What do I want to do with my creativity? And that's where I am today. Decide what matters. Who do I want to be in relationship with? Kevin and I have this game we play, and it's like, who do you want on the yacht? When we buy our yacht and we take a round-the-world cruise, which we will do, when we buy our yacht and take a round-the-world cruise, who do you want on that yacht? And we always play this game, and if any of Kevin's friends, because I don't do this, of course, but if any of Kevin's friends like piss him off, he's like, off the yacht. So, he's not here today, I can say this. So, and he's too busy to watch later, so we're good. So, for me, it's like, I get to decide who's in my life, don't you? You get to decide who your friends are. You get to decide who you're in love with. You get to decide who you are in rapport with. But that yacht is going to have to literally take sail all over the world, and you're going to have to interact with everybody else. So my already established premise that everyone is God works perfect for me. I see God in everyone and everything. But my yacht is filled with the specificities of my life. So that's what that is. My career. How do I want to use my talents? I got a call last week. Would I be interested in going and being in a Broadway show? And I was like, no, I wouldn't be, which was shocking to me. My entire body was like, are you insane? This is like this is someone wants you to consider being in a Broadway show. I was like, I know, but I don't want to. But we did. We really did. For years, we did. What happened? I don't know. That's how I talk to myself. Yeah. So, and it's true. So those are the specificities. So, that's why I'm not going back to Broadway. I can't talk. So you've built the house, you've put the foundation under it, you have your already established premises, your mind is clear, you know what you want to do, and then comes, once it's all framed, all of the flooring, the countertops, the doors, all the things that you like. And how much time do you think we spend picking out the exact right doorknob? How many of you have built a house? Okay, none of you. Wow, okay, a couple of you. Okay, so here's what we do when we build a house that way. We're like literally at stores going, I love this little knob here, this will work here, and we get to design it. Guess what? If I don't, someone else does. And that's what happens in your life. If you don't pay attention to the doorknob, you could be pulling on a Costco prefab doorknob that you will need to replace in about 3 years once you have children. So, what's it going to be? If you're building your mind from the ground up, and I'm telling you, sacred demolition is what we're all about here today. Tear it down, folks. It is time to literally tear it down in order to build it back up. So you go through all of those steps, and you see what's going on. So it's about being present right now in mental muscle. And there was a a day when I got 42nd Street. That was my Broadway reference, and it was very late in my talk, just so you know. So they let me know how many Broadway references I've had. This is the only one today. So Lee sang the song, One Step at a Time. One step at a time. Everything I'm talking about, when you build a house, you don't just go plop down the house. You don't. You go one step at a time. When you build a mind, when you build a powerful consciousness, you must build it from the demolition up. You must get rid of what you don't want and then start from the foundation up. But we get overwhelmed. We look at everything and think, how am I going to get there, to that house? Well, when I was cast in 42nd Street, I only had 10 days to learn the show. And I remember they flew me to Boston to go into rehearsal. And they showed me the show. I got there the day I got there. I saw the show, and I had 10 days to go into it. And I was playing the young male lead. All these dance steps. And I remember sitting in the audience of the Schubert Theater in Boston going, there's no way. There's just no way. It's going to take me 10 days to learn We're in the Money. Physically, not mentally, right? So I remember sitting there, and the next day I got into rehearsal, and Randy Brenner, who was teaching it to me, he started with, I forget which number we started with, but it wasn't In the Money, and I said, we should start with We're in the Money, because that's like the most complicated. He goes, actually, that's the easiest. Let's start with the most complicated. And I was like, oh my God! That's the easiest. So I had to take a deep breath, because I'm a fast learner. I am a fast learner, and I know this. I had to take a deep breath and just take one step at a time until I was able to, which I learned in that show. Now, I can tell you that when he went, here's your first step. Let me see that. I was like, I think you started with, right? So it really does take one step at a time to learn. But I have used that step now, right, Bob, in every show I've ever done because I know it. And it looks hard. So I had to first demo my mind to be able to get to that opening night. And I can tell you, when that opening night happened, I still had a phobia about the We're in the Money number, because a giant dime the size of like 3 of those comes rolling on stage with you running next to it. Hopefully you don't run into it. And then they throw it down. You get out of the way as it plops down. You jump up on top of it, right in beat with the music, and then start right into the dancing. And there's like 50 chorus girls behind you all doing the same sort of step. And I remember standing back there going, okay, 10 days, I got it, it's all good. And then I had to say to myself again, just do it beat by beat. You're trying to do the whole number in your head. Do you ever try to run through something in your head, the whole thing, before you go out anywhere to do anything? You're a job interview, and you're like, okay, I'm going to tell them this, I'm going to tell them this, I'm going to tell them this, and you're like, by the time they say hello, it's like, hi, you can't do that in a Broadway show because the music is the music and the beat is the beat. So, I would like to know that I demonstrate for you in life someone who really does take it one step at a time. And I try very hard not to get ahead of myself. And I have lived so much in these last 2 years, I will say. These last 2 years of this center, the journey this center has taken, has brought me so much closer to my truth self, to my most authentic self. I think my relationship with Karen Mitchell and what that has given me in this service has just shown me what it means to really be of service, in service, as service, to really tap into the authenticity. But it's one step at a time. So I'm here today to tell you there's some demolishing to do. There's some demo to do. What do you have to demo in your mind in order to create a consciousness that works for you? A mind that really works. A mind that works so efficiently that you just go on the absolute energy of the divine that takes you through life at all times. You do it one step at a time. So if you guys could come back up here. I'm going to give you all a chance. Just take a deep breath. I know I've said a lot today. Robbie, band, guys. Reverend Mark Anthony Lord, when he was here, he had finished most of his talks. He always finishes his talks with a meditation, with a song. And when I watched it, I really loved it. You know, and I you're going to laugh when I say this, but I really love the idea of not ending a song, ending a talk with your applause. I mean, I appreciate it, and I love it. And I love it when you stand, just so you know. I'm just being honest. I'm trained that way, right? That's the way we actors are. You're either standing because you loved it, or you're standing because, like Maria, right now you're leaving, you've had enough. Or I've talked so long that we're peeing. Okay, so I love the idea that we can just give ourselves a moment here. So take a deep breath.